Welcome back to the Smugglers Den. I'm your host, Tiny Grimes. This is episode 42. As always, we're brought to you by swdestiny.com. Go there for all your Star Wars Destiny needs. Thank you so much to everyone who's been contributing on patreon.com. Tiny Grimes. Anything you donate is just so amazing and so much appreciated. And it's time to bring in my guest this week, the one and only Rebel Spy, Mike. What's happening, Mike?
Not too much. New set, good times.
Okay, not too much. Then I guess we're just gonna go. I'm gonna go get a new host.
All right, sweet.
Yeah, new set's fun, isn't it?
Oh, it's the best time in the game.
So this is really funny, Mike. I wrote this whole article about how this is the best way to build a competitive tier 1 deck out of the gate. And the real reality is, Mike, for the first couple of weeks, I don't even bother building the competitive decks. I will a tiny bit just to make sure I was right in, my predictions. I've played one game of Thrawn Car, one game with a new Nines deck, and then just built weird stuff that is fine, but I know it's not going to be good once the meta's settled.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's the right approach.
Yeah, it's just more fun for me that way. I know, if you want to know what are all the best decks in the meta right now, the newest Hyperloops episode was great going through it. But the whole time I was just kind of give me a couple weeks, guys. I want to have fun with the cards before I throw them all away and only play with this tiny amount of them. How about we take a couple weeks to do that first?
Yeah, exactly.
All right. So having said that, have you gotten a lot of games in with the new set?
Yeah, I've gotten a fair amount of games in.
Nice.
I played Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and I'm going to play tonight. So
All
I've
in
gotten
person?
a good amount of Destiny in.
Whoa, that's pretty impressive.
Yeah.
I've played about 5 games constructed, and then the sealed deck or the sealed box tournament that I want to talk about here.
Yep.
So let's start there, Mike.
Cool.
Sealed box tournament we played in was crazy and really fun. So we played in this event where you buy a box, you open it on the spot. You've got, 30, 40 minutes to open all your packs, make a deck. You can use heroes or villains. You can use any amount of whatever you opened. So I opened a single die Sabine 4 thermal paints and really considered going that direction. I was wary about the format, Mike. I really was. And I really enjoyed it. How about yourself?
Yeah, I had a great time. Everybody in the room together, opening their boxes. It's like the energy is already super high.
Yeah.
And then, people are chatting with each other about, building this terrible deck that is going to be a blast to play.
Yeah. And that seemed like everyone's consensus. They're my deck's terrible. It's yeah, we all have terrible decks.
Everybody's
they didn't
deck is
print removal
terrible
in this set. So that was kind of interesting. What deck did you end up going with, Mike? What terrible deck did you put together?
So the characters that I played were a Gamorrean Guard, which is legitimately, I think, my favorite card in the set.
Whoa. Okay.
I know.
We'll come
I'm
back
the
to
worst
that.
at picking cards that I like. So the Gamorrean Guard, and then Kanan, and someone red.
Was it Hera?
Yeah, it was Hera.
Okay.
That's exactly
I was thinking
right.
you were playing a Hera vehicle deck without vehicles. I thought that was the whole point of your deck.
Yeah, exactly.
You didn't even remember Hera was in it.
vehicle deck with 4 vehicles in it.
That is about how many vehicles I had in my deck, and I did not think of it as a vehicle deck, actually. How'd it go?
Great. It went okay. Some of the games were fine. A few of the games came down to last minute rolls and stuff like that, so it was exciting. There were at least 7 cards in my deck that didn't need to be in my deck.
Yes.
But yeah, it was a lot of fun. A lot of fun.
That's cool. How'd you end up doing?
We played 4 rounds, right? So
Yeah.
I think I went 2 and 2.
Okay.
And yeah, lost a couple nail biters.
That's cool. Yeah, this was one of the first tournaments where I didn't really care what my record was because I feel like that's not the point, right? The point is just do some crazy stuff, have fun. I had some options. I could have ran a mill deck. I got Thrawn in it. I got 2 buyouts. I very strongly considered running mill. I decided to play something that I knew I would never ever play again, which was single die Kanan, single die Quinlan Voss, and single die Ezra. And I built the deck around Quinlan Voss's special, which I did not trigger in the 4 games that I played. So, not surprising, there were a couple of cards I wish I had not played in that deck. But I actually did all right. I won 3-1. Only lost to Fadi, who won the tournament and made a really cool deck where he played like Bosk, Magna Guard, put the Electra Staff on, played the support that makes it so you don't have to pay the resource cost, played the battlefield that lets you resolve stuff as if they didn't have pluses, and just went all in on like all pluses, all resources, and it was still fairly close. I made several read the card errors where like I thought so training remote looks like a bad card that would be reasonable and sealed, right? You're like, okay,
Sure.
It's slow, but it's +1, and so I go to resolve a yellow gun, and he's like, dude, that only works for blue character dice. And I was like, no, I don't care what you think it says. There is no way a bad card would be that restrictively god-awful. Shockingly, he was right. The guy who had read the card actually knew more than the guy who hadn't read the card.
Yep, that card is not great.
A little surprised. Heavily regretted slotting that into my deck, by the way. I wasn't really happy with that choice. So it was a fun deck. I got to really see just how good Kanan is, and he's pretty reasonably good. I mean, if you roll that focus on him, I mean, it's really strong when you roll the focus on him.
Yeah, I was pretty impressed with Kanan in my deck as well.
Yeah.
He's good. I like him a lot.
I'd say maybe my biggest takeaway from this tournament was Elite Kanan. If you have 13, Elite Kanan may be better than Elite Rey at 12 if you have 13 points, depending on what you need. Like, if you don't need speed, then Kanan might just be better. I don't know. I'm looking forward to trying that out. He's got some decent sides on those dice. So
Absolutely.
Yeah, so that was a lot of fun. I did end up going 3-1, which was funny because I didn't care actually how I did, and then I ended up getting third out of 16 people or whatever, and I was like, I got third? Okay, like my deck's a pile of garbage. I had 2 games that I won by the skin of my teeth, and then 1 game I think I won handily, but none of the games I was like, yes, this Quinlan Voss choice was right. Every game I was like, why the heck is Quinlan Voss in this? I could have anyone I want.
Yeah.
And I couldn't do Sabine, Mike, because Sabine's 15, and I got Ezra for 7. So I was like, cool. If I open a single 8 cost... Oh, I'm not going to open a single 8 cost character? Oh, that's unfortunate. So I would have had to run a 2-dice, 2-character Sabine deck.
I know. I was sad about that because I was trying to push you to play Sabine with those 4 thermal paints.
That would have been interesting for sure.
Would have been pretty fun.
I was going to play Deadly and Thermal Paint and all that kind of good stuff, but no.
Sounds good, man.
It was not meant to be, Mike. I was sad.
Unfortunately, I know.
But I will say that was such a fun event. It makes me think that I think the answer to Sealed and Draft may just be you can play heroes and villains in the same deck.
Yeah, it worked pretty well.
Yeah.
Like, there weren't any, broken things that anybody really found because everybody's deck was bad.
Yeah. I mean, obviously it wouldn't work in Constructed, right? It'd be completely degenerately broken. But in a very limited pool, it seemed to be fine.
Yeah. Yeah. And not a single person, had any complaints about that aspect of it.
Yeah. So my deck was really interesting,
cool.
Mike. I basically built it as a mono blue deck, but you can't do mono blue. So I had like 2 funeral pyres, 2 bestows, 2 lightsaber pulls, ancient lightsaber, Shoto lightsaber. The funny thing is I triggered 1 funeral pyre once in 4 games. I never played bestow ever. It was like all the mono blue cards that were in there I never got to use.
Yeah.
It was basically just lightsaber pull for an ancient lightsaber and go to town. That was my deck. It worked all right.
Yeah. Not too bad.
All right. So what other events did you play in then? I didn't realize you were like Mr. EAW here.
So actually, it was Wednesday night was the midnight, launch thing. So that was just kind of, build a deck and, or like build a deck out of the cards that you, not out of the cards that you open, but like put the cards that you opened into your normal deck and then play a few rounds. It was nothing, competitive or anything like that, but it was entertaining. I've been modifying my villain mill deck that I played pretty much throughout all of Spirit of Rebellion.
Put buyout win. That's how it works out. Okay,
That's
cool.
that's definitely an aspect. Um, I think the only two real cards that I added, I guess, were Buyout and Coercion, and then swapped out the Royal Guard for a Gamorrean Guard because Gamorrean Guard's the best card in the set.
Moral guard is if you got he's 10, right?
Yeah,
Does he have 11 health?
he has 11 health.
That's crazy.
I
He
know.
doesn't have a
He's so
mill
good.
side, right?
No, he
Okay,
doesn't.
okay,
But
okay.
he has a 3 side for Unkar.
Oh yeah, that's right. He does.
Yeah, and
He's really
Disarm.
good. I haven't squeezed into a deck yet. I was wondering about Bazine Natal at Elite for 10. You get 2 dice with discard on them. It feels
Yeah,
like they just have to kill her then.
I like her quite a bit.
Oh,
I haven't gotten a chance to play with her yet, but she seems really cool.
yeah. I was wondering if you do something like Bazine plus Unkar 1 die plus troop. No, actually, you could go Elite. You could go Elite Unkar, Elite Bazine, Trooper. That's 5 dice.
Yeah.
Whoever they go to kill out of Unkar or Bazine, you can actually play stuff like Conars that you can't normally play because they just kill the yellow guy. You put
Yep.
on the other yellow guy, they have to do 18 points before they finally kill the con artist. I don't know. This actually seems reasonable.
Yeah, it's definitely something that I like want to try out. I have a different like idea built in the database that's Elite Unkar, Gamorrean Guard, and then Bazine, but she's only at 7 points in that case.
That's fine.
And then you get 3 yellow characters, to put your yellow only upgrades and stuff like that.
I kinda like
You
that,
don't ever have to
actually.
worry about spotting.
Yeah, you don't lose a ton.
But I like the 5 dice idea.
Yeah, the 5 dice is intriguing. The problem is you don't have any Guardian, but you do have 2 best defenses to just basically Guardian with your Stormtrooper.
Yeah,
Because I have to
exactly.
assume they're not killing the Stormtrooper. You know what you could even do? Oh my god, Mike. You go the 2 best defenses, and then you could maybe even play, if we're getting a lot of money, maybe we could play Endless Ranks, cheat,
Ooh.
and be able to do stuff like best defense again. That sounds
just
terrible, but, let's go all the way. Let's go all the way terrible.
Exactly.
So did you play in any competitive events? Did you play like a win-a-box tournament or anything?
Yeah, so I have a cautionary tale
Ooh, I like the sound of this.
for the listeners out there. So I was playing my Bill and Mill deck that I am enjoying quite a bit, and I played against an Unkar Theron deck,
Ooh.
and we got down to the situation where we went into the final turn. Time had like basically just been called, like right as we're reaching the final turn. We both have 2 cards left in our deck and 0 cards in hand. So I rip my 2. He draws his 2, and I had claimed in the previous round, so I get to go first.
Yeah, claim. Boom.
Well, so I have 2 interrogation droids,
Oh, nice.
and he happens to have 2 events in his hand. So I can interrogation droid, pull a card, interrogation droid, pull a card. He's out of cards. And then I've got nothing left to do, so I claim. And he, takes both the cards out of my hand because he's playing on card as well.
Sure.
And so I thought, because I'm so used to playing this villain mill deck where if it ever goes to time, I lose because I don't deal damage, and damage is the tiebreaker, right? So
You forgot the mill tiebreaker?
yes.
Come
Well,
on,
yeah.
Mike. You're better than that.
So, so we get down to the situation, and all my cards are gone, all his cards are gone, but I had claimed the battlefield. But he crime lorded my Unkar on the previous turn, and in my mind, I was just like, oh, like you win because you dealt damage to me, and I didn't deal damage to you.
Oh, wow.
When in reality, the actual scenario is I milled him and I claimed the battlefield, and that was like
Wow.
straight up the win condition.
So you met
So,
the win condition and still marked an L on your sheet?
yes.
Whoa, man.
Yeah.
That's. Did you
So
try to turn that back around at any point?
no, it wasn't until this morning when our friend Scott texted me and was like, "Hey, so remember that game yesterday?"
You should call
I
the
think.
shop. I want a W. I don't know what that does for me, but I want a W today, this morning.
Yeah.
I mean, someone did that basically at whatever the expo thing, and you know what I'm talking about. Goodness, I don't
Gen
remember.
Con?
No, the one after that.
Nova?
Nova. Yeah,
Nova?
somebody did that Nova. A couple
Oh.
rounds later, they realized this is so crazy. A couple rounds later, they realized that their opponent had made a mistake. Not
Uh-huh.
like your kind of mistake where the game instantly ended. Just he made a mistake. He spotted he spotted a color he didn't have, something like that.
Uh-huh.
They go to the head judge, and the judge turns the win around. Says,
What?
okay, so then you get the win and you get the loss. Several rounds later, when the guy had like 2 losses, he was out of the cut. Suddenly, he'd been playing down the whole time. Goes to X1 instead and makes the cut.
What?
Knocks somebody out of the cut. The strength
That's
schedule was all messed
insane.
up. It's one of the craziest things I've ever heard.
That is insane. Oh my God.
Yeah, don't try to do that.
Yeah.
All right, so how did you end
more,
up doing at the win of the box tournament? I'm going to guess you didn't win the box.
I didn't know. I mean, that was the only game that I lost, or well, quote unquote lost.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was. I mean, there were only like 5 or 6 of us. No, I think there were 7 of us there, so it was only 3 rounds.
Who
And
won?
yeah, it was
Who did they win
unfortunate. Hmm?
Who won and what did they win with?
That deck won actually. The Thrawn Uncard deck.
Oh, Thrown on car won. Who was piloting it?
Seth.
Seth. I don't think I know Seth. Well, congratulations, Seth. I think what you should do is call the store then and be like, I was 4-0, I want the box. Call Seth,
Well,
tell him the box is mine.
Yeah, that's
I
probably
think that's
well.
fair, Mike. I think that's totally fair.
Yeah, you think that's fair?
I think Seth would do it.
How about this? I just like, I'll just tell Seth. I'll be like, hey Seth.
Yeah. Give me the
That's
box.
that's my box, dude.
That's my box. If we still want to keep being friends, that's my box.
No. I mean, I was kicking myself this morning about it, but it's like,
Yeah.
I mean, moral of the story is read the tournament rules.
Know how the
closely.
game works? Like, know how the basic game functions?
Yep.
Seems like
I
a
mean,
good
like,
plan before you go to a tournament and then, like, run a Star Wars Destiny website.
I don't know what you're talking about, man.
Let's talk boxes real quick. How many have you opened?
I opened 3.
Okay. I've opened 2 now. I opened the one at the event, and it was great. I got Thrawn. I got an ancient lightsaber. I got Sabine. I got some other decent stuff. How have your boxes been so far?
They've not been too bad. I feel like it's fairly middle of the road. I actually don't think I've opened any Thrawns, but I was able to trade into 2 of them on the release night. But I did
poor
open
sucker.
an ancient
How do you
lightsaber,
get
which
2
was
of them
cool.
on release night?
Well, I traded a Mace Windu for one, and I traded a Ghost for the other.
Oh my God! Who are you trading with?
I mean, like release night, everybody just they
Yeah.
want what they want,
Wow.
and like
Good for
I
you.
don't. I still don't even know the values of the cards. I'm just trading, whatever
Yeah.
legendaries I need for whatever legendaries someone else needs.
So my second box I opened yesterday with my daughter. I got a Ghost, a K2SO, a Grand Inquisitor, and a Grand Inquisitor's lightsaber. So that's a really bad start. And then I got Ahsoka and Cad Bane. So I feel like Ahsoka, I don't know if she's going to be good, but I think she'll hold some value. And I think Cad might be good.
I think it might be good too.
That 3-for-1 is the only thing that gives me pause. But my daughter and I came up with a really cool idea. I don't know if you know the story of my daughter. She was all in with me at the beginning. Decks got more efficient and interesting, and she was like, I don't want to take a part of this. This is the Rebels set, though, and she loves Star Wars Rebels, and I got her to open the box with me, and every Rebels card, she was like, oh my God, he's in it? She's in it? This is amazing. So I came up with an idea. If I can build a deck that's all Star Wars Rebels, you get the Rebels, I'll be the Inquisitor and some chump, would you play some games? And she said yes. So now I have the ultimate challenge. Can I build an all Rebels deck? I'm not sure, Mike. We tried just with the EAW cards, and there is not an all Rebels deck in there. So I have to figure out what other than Electroshock even has Rebels art. It's all in Electroshock. I can't name all the cards off the top of my head that have Rebels art, so I'm gonna have to do some serious looking.
Yeah, there's a decent amount.
Yeah.
I posted on your Facebook post a couple of
Oh,
a couple
awesome.
of decks. So
Cool. I can't wait to see it then. Because I'm really excited to get her back in. It's funny because I'm the tier 1, tier list, ultra cutthroat competitive guy. But I gotta say, this game is actually a lot more fun when you play it in like, I'm gonna make a fair Luke deck and a fair Vader deck, and there's gonna be minimal action cheating, like one tactical mastery and one other card, and then lightsabers, and we're just gonna roll and have fun. And my brother loved that when we took that approach. He'd never played the game before. I had totally suckered him into Destiny, and then I was like, just so you know, this is not how the game plays at all. Like, I built this fake game for us to have a lot of fun with, and it's awesome, isn't it? He was like, this is the best game ever. And I was like, I know. This is not how Destiny plays, though. The bait and switch at its
that's kind of
best. By
hilarious.
the way, you should buy 3 boxes, then I'll tell you how the game really plays.
Yeah.
So that's been fun. Let's talk about some decks we've been using then. I want to talk about one that I built. There'll be a video going up on it in a couple days. But I decided to build a mono blue hero deck because, mono blue hero always sucks. Let's be clear.
Mm-hmm.
So I wanted to play it when it didn't matter if it sucked. So I've got this deck. It is Elite Kanan, Padawan, and the Jedi Instructor. And the Jedi
Ooh.
Instructor is kind of awesome with Kanan, especially because if she rolls the melee side, Kanan gets to flip to his 2. If she rolls the focus side, you get to flip Kanan to the focus and then basically action cheat and use his focus to do whatever you need it to do and then resolve it. So that combo works really well. And then Padawan is completely sick with weapons. So, like the one game that I'll show, I probably shouldn't spoil since I'm going to show the game. But I played Reaping the Crystal into Rey's lightsaber onto Padawan. So that only cost me 1.
Yeah.
She rolls in, she does damage. Then I use the other one to do Bestow to move it over to like the Instructor. And then she rolls out and does damage with it. And then that allowed me to play another weapon on the Padawan next turn at the discounted rate. So there's like all these cool tricks in it. I just feel like, straight aggro or straight Thrawn-Kar is better than it. But it's close. Like I think it's a tier 2 deck that's solid, and you get to use stuff like lightsaber pull and all the cool blue stuff that you always wanted to be good.
That sounds like a lot of fun.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. It was solid. I beat like a really good 9s deck who just rolled garbage the whole time. He rolled like 10 blanks on his rocket launcher. So that happens sometimes.
I mean, it always feels good to see that.
Yeah, it was nice. It was fun to see it do well, and it had Funeral Pyre in it, thinking again how awesome it's going to be, and it still didn't do anything. Like I think I got it really late. I can never find them when I need them. I'm wondering if Funeral Pyre is a trap card. Like when I saw Funeral Pyre, I thought this is the mono blue hero maker. This is going to be key, and it feels more and more like a trap card every time I see it.
Yeah, I wonder if it's kind of the same thing as it binds all things.
Yeah. And I'm wondering if the answer is just you do it all. You do binds, you do Reaping the Crystal, you do Funeral Pyre, and you just say, I'm going all in. I'm going all in on this plan. Lots of 3-cost upgrades. I didn't do that. I only have 2 Rey's lightsaber, 2 handcrafted bow, and 1 regular lightsaber as my 3 costs. I didn't go, like all in and put everything in there.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, like, okay, I guess the upside of Funeral Pyre, so to speak, is that you can, draw it on maybe like turn 3 and still be able to get some value out of it because like whereas if you draw binds all things on turn 3, it's like, okay, this is blank.
Yeah, and that's what I was thinking with Funeral Pyre. Like anytime in the first 3 turns, it's great. You just slap it down and you're ready. But it just hasn't worked out. Ancient Lightsaber plus lightsaber pull though is just freaking sick. So like I go something like turn 2 lightsaber on the guy that's been taking damage, knowing that I'm just going to proc its ability. Proc it, put it back in my deck. He claims. I go lightsaber pull, put it back out, proc it again. I've healed 4. Like he was on the precipice of death. Clearly, he could just put a weapon on FN and kill him, and suddenly I played like a caution plus that, so he had 3 shields and now 6 health left, and it was
Oh,
like, what just happened? He was dead. He had 1
that's so
health left,
dirty.
and now he's fine. So that was really cool.
Yeah, that's
Just a
awesome.
lot of neat little defensive tricks in the deck to go along with quite a bit
Mhm.
of offense. I mean, if you've got 2-die Kanan with a weapon and a Padawan with a weapon, like that's a lot of potential damage coming your way.
Yeah.
So, not like I said, not saying it's a tier 1 awesome deck, but I'm saying pretty good for the first week. It actually held its own, and it's fun.
Yeah,
What's the
sounds
deck
like it.
you've been using, Mike?
So I've been, toying around with that villain mill deck. But besides that, I've been trying out a little bit of old Phasma.
Love
After you
it, old
mentioned to me
Phasma.
that you thought it'd be pretty good.
Yeah.
Tried a couple games with it, and it was pretty good. And then the other decks that I have, I
Wait, we
updated
gotta
my.
go one at a time. So, what, in your opinion, makes Old Phasma better? Like, if Old Phasma was still good, but it got wrecked by things like the amount of burst that Rainbow Nines could do, it got hurt a lot by Imperial Inspection. So, how is this version standing up better than the old one did?
Well, first off was not playing against Nines or Imperial Inspection.
That does help, Mike. That helps a lot.
But I think that there are certain cards that it gets that are pretty sweet for it. Mainly, Coercion is just stupidly good in any deck that can play it.
Calling it now, it's gonna get errated. It's too good. Best card in the game. It's getting errated.
It's so good. And then I actually really like the LL30 blaster because it's just another redeploy weapon that you can play in that deck.
You're hilarious. I just really like this card. It's like a holdout blaster, only better. Like, I just like it. It's good. It has ambush and redeploy, and as a special, as you turn any side to a range damage, and it has damage sides. Yeah, it's pretty good.
It's
pretty
kinda
good,
good.
Mike. I'm gonna agree. It's pretty good. I think I have none of them, by the way. I don't know how that's possible, but I'm pretty sure I have 0 of
I
that card.
Yeah, it actually took me a really long time to find a second one and to find someone to trade me a second one. I don't know.
Yeah, I tried desperately to get someone to trade it to me. They're like, I only have 2. And I was like, come on, just trade one. You'll get another one. Shut up and trade it.
Yeah, so
I agree with that. I think
like those tools.
coercion fixes some of the problems, right? So, like, if you're really worried about boundless, you could just play coercion at the beginning of the turn, and they're like,
Yeah.
what?
Yep, for sure.
Choose, boundless? Yeah, I think that's amazing. A card I really think is going to be good in Phasma. I haven't had a chance to try my build yet, but I put Heat of Battle in, which is a 2-cost neutral red event. It says choose an opponent. That opponent turns any number of their dice to side showing damage, and then turn any number of your dice to side showing damage. So I found that Phasma, right, it'll get like your opponent has claimed, and you still have 6 dice on the table, and you re-roll several times to try to hit the nuts. Well, you just pay 2 and you have the nuts.
Yeah, that seems pretty good because I get into that situation a lot when I play that deck.
Yeah. The question I have is not, is it good, but do I have 2 resources left to be able to do that? That's the question.
Right.
So I'm not
I
100%
think
sure.
towards the end, towards the later stages of the game, I think you do a lot of the time.
Yeah. That's what I was hoping.
Yeah.
I guess I only added 1 Captain Phasma's blaster. I thought I was going to add 2. I think that's just a great way to get around Imperial Inspection in this deck, so that's a great addition.
Yeah, I actually only added 1 to mine as well. I swapped out the F11Ds for the LL30 because it's just 1,000 times better, and then I swapped out Jetpack for Phasma's blaster.
Oh, I forgot people ran Jetpack. Yeah, I don't have Jetpacks. It's so cool how many redeploys you get to have now.
Yeah, I mean every single weapon in that deck is redeploy.
For me, I still have 2 copies of the Baby Blaster.
The DH17, yep,
Yeah.
same.
Just
I
because
take
it's
it back.
$1, like if I lose that, whatever. And also if Imperial Inspection, they have to waste it on that, it's not as devastating for me. But yeah, other than that, it's just all redeploys, which feels so insane with 3 characters.
Yeah, and I think I have a couple Rend in that deck as well, and to try and kill the Imperial Inspections.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, I didn't even think about that. I feel like Rend is such a meta call, but for this particular deck, like that's what's going to beat it. So
Ren is a really interesting card to exist
yeah,
because it's like at the beginning of the set, like everybody's going to play Ren and nobody's going to play zero cost stuff,
yep,
and then because nobody's playing zero cost stuff, people are
yep,
going to stop playing Ren,
yep.
and then people are going to start playing zero cost stuff again, and then the cycle will continue. I kind of like that. I think it's fun.
Here's the question: is it worth playing Holocron anyway?
Yes.
Yep, I agree. Holocron's that card where you're just like, listen, dude, the power ceiling on this is so nuts. I'm gonna play. Okay, I got a question for you, Mike. Prediction time.
Okay.
We're gonna see an errata, right? So we're gonna see. Okay, we're gonna move to this now officially. Errata predictions. So we're gonna go back and forth. I'm gonna name a prediction first. FN will be errated in some way. In some way, FN's gonna be errated. What's
I
your
agree.
prediction?
I agree.
Okay. You have any predictions you want to make,
Oh,
am I making the
separate from
predictions and
FN?
you're agreeing?
Just like a non-FN prediction.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Okay,
think.
I'm going to throw one at you.
All right.
Will
all right.
Holocron finally be errated?
No.
Okay, what's your reasoning for no?
What's my reasoning, or
Yeah.
what do I think is their reasoning?
Well, what do you think is their reasoning?
I think because Rend exists, they won't errata it at the very least. I mean, they haven't errated it yet, and it doesn't determine as many games now as it used to.
Yep.
And I think that there's really not a good incentive to change anything about it at this point.
Yep. I agree.
So
I don't think there's any way they would errata it. I imagine at the time of design, we have Awakenings. Holocron people are complaining about endlessly, and I think Rend was there. Oh yeah, yeah. Just run Rend. Just run Rend.
Mhm.
So I would be really shocked if they were added a card that I think they designed a card to specifically hit.
Yeah.
Plus, Holocron isn't really winning events these days. I mean, it only won
true.
the World Championships, but aside from that, it certainly isn't. It certainly isn't oppressive right now. I still say the card's busted, but it's not oppressive. And as long as it's not oppressive, sure, busted cards can be fun and fine as long as they're not oppressive.
Right. Exactly.
What about Po Maz? Do you think Po Maz is going to live in its current way?
That's interesting. I don't really see that many anymore, but maybe that's just our metagame. I did play against it last Wednesday in a tournament. Austin brought it, and I beat it with Kylo, new Phasma, and it wasn't really that difficult. So
Gotcha.
I'm not sure.
I think they'll do something about it just because it was so dominant and it got more tools. And I really think that once the meta settles down, the fast aggro decks really are amazing. And I think unless they do something to it, it'll be back. That cannon is kind of scary, to be honest. Being able to chuck 6 out is crazy town.
Yeah, I actually kind of agree with that.
Let's see. Anything else we're worried about that they might errata? Buyout. Buyout. If they don't errata buyout, I'm worried. I originally saw a buyout and thought, interesting. FFG always caps stuff. I wonder what's going on here. The testers must have decided that it was fine. And then I heard rumblings about how at Nova they were buying people out for 17 and crazy stuff. And then I tried it myself. I've played one game with buyout and got an easy 10. It was not a problem at all. I just bought out 10. The game was over. And then we played, and you had your mill deck.
Yep.
And it was that situation where I had an easy win. But we both know you have buyout coming, and you have 10. And I'm just saying, Mike, so you're going to win. It's going to be close, but there's no way I can win if you buy out for 10. And you're just like, buy out 10. I was like, okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thanks, Mike.
Yeah, it was silly.
Yeah. So, I mean, Friends in Low Places beats buyout. Fair Trade wrecks buyout. But to me, it's one of those things of like, if you could just cap it so it's still awesome. Like, I feel like, let's say you capped it at 5, which to me is a magic number because it's a whole turn, right? So you cap it at 1 turn instead of letting it hit 2 turns. Being able to shave off a turn from the game, I think is still great.
Yeah, I think so too. I don't think that really takes away from the intent of the card, and I think that it just stops like those abusive strategies.
Yeah, I agree, and I think I think mill will still be really good, and that's where I want mill to be. I don't want it to be like mill or go home, or have your whole deck tailored around mill. I want it to be mill's good, and maybe it's even tier 1, but it's not tier 0. Like, that to me is a very dangerous place to be. I think it turns off a lot of newer players who are like, yeah, I got my Star Wars dudes, I'm gonna roll my damage, and I got my lightsabers, and you're like, I just discarded your whole deck. I'm like, what just happened? Yeah, no, just all your deck's gone. It's cool, don't worry. You can still hit me for 2 before the game ends.
Yeah, it's really not that much fun to play against, so...
Yeah. I mean, I think it could be fun if you really know it well and you're ready for it, but yeah, just like for me, when we played, it was like, I've got this sort of random Empire at War deck that I'm working on, and you were like, I have the broken card, and I was like, oh, well, cool. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I didn't bring the counter to the broken card. That's unfortunate for me. Oh, man. Yeah, so I think that'll probably get hit. What about Coercion? Do you think Coercion is going to get through as it stands, or do you think in this initial wave they'll just go, oh god, I didn't realize it could do everything and was the best card that was ever made?
I was going to ask you about that, actually. I don't know. I don't think that they'll do anything about it immediately, because I don't think people will find those broken things as quickly. But that's like probably the number one card that I would look at.
Yeah. I agree with that. I don't think they'll hit it, mainly because I haven't heard of one peep about it needing it.
Yeah.
Even I, we should probably errata this card. This is like the first you're hearing me say it should probably be errated. It looked good at first, but then after playing it, it's just like, oh my goodness, this is like the most oppressive card I've ever seen. I mean, it's like, it's basically, if it just said, look in your opponent's hand and take any event, it's better than Friends in Low Places, which is great. And instead, it makes them spend money to get rid of the event, and usually remove their own dice to get rid of the event. And so it's like the most absurd power swing I've ever seen for one. It's crazy town.
Yeah. It's a disrupt, a discard, and potentially a removal, or even something worse at once for one resource.
It's freaking crazy. Have you seen my emergency evacuation play?
No.
So to be clear, emergency evacuation is probably not a good card, right? So this is not the best scenario to demonstrate why this card is so amazing. But I was playing against a dude. He's got I get my coercion. He goes first. He rolls out his X-wing, and he's got $4. And so I'm like, holy cow! I mean, this is when I play coercion. I know he only has one die out there, and I could try to wait. But what if he plays a vehicle? I'm gonna play coercion and just maybe I'll hit a 2-coster and wreck him. And he has emergency evac, so he has to play it. 4. So, and it's also his action, right? So he has to use his action to get rid of a card in his hand, pay 4 to do it, and remove all the dice on the board, which turns out is just his one TIE fighter. That was the game. Like, that just killed everything. Any momentum he had just went, game over. That's So
yeah, the one of those first days, I played against someone who was playing The Day Is Ours, and that's the event that says claim the battlefield. And so I coercioned that they immediately claimed the battlefield, and then I just took my turn.
They had to just claim I have to read this down. For 2, so they had to pay 2, claim the battlefield, even if a has claimed it this round. Oh my god. Oh, so you discard a card, you pay 2, and your turn is over. Cool. That was fun.
So I actually think that that's my biggest problem with this card, is that it disincentivizes people to play like kind of more nuanced and interesting cards in their deck if they think they're going to come across coercion. So it's like all of a sudden you can't play Noble Sacrifice, you can't play Price of Failure, you can't play a card like this.
I just think it's too oppressive, right? It's just, it can't do this many things. Like, I still can't believe it takes your opponent's action. I had forgotten that at first. The first time I played it, I was like, what the heck? Why is he sitting here? And then I'm like, wait, that was his action even? Oh my god.
Yep.
I feel like it makes you a sandwich also. Like, you come downstairs and there's just a sandwich there. Like, what? What happened? Oh, I played coercion. That's where that sandwich came from.
Yeah, man.
Oh, man. All right. So I guess part of my point is talking about potential erratas is this is another reason why I didn't want to go hog wild into tier 1 and tier lists right away. I figured I'll just have a little fun. You know there's an errata in the pipeline. They just didn't really have a lot of time to react. Gen Con gives them a lot of useful data. Nova confirms it. Then you go, oh boy, we need an errata. It takes a little time to figure out what the errata is going to be. Then you have to go through Lucasfilm. This is all a process, right? So anyone who knows the process that Lucasfilm was involved knows there's not going to be errata day one. Some people were kind of freaking out. Don't freak out. If there's not an errata, this hat of mine, I'll eat a little bit of the brim. I won't eat the whole hat because that's crazy. But I'll eat a little bit of the brim if there's no errata coming fairly soon. And that's when you'll see me being like, okay, here's a tier list. Here's what we're looking at. But for now, I'm having some fun, and I'm having fun doing it, which is cool. This is my favorite time, Mike, is when we just play fun stuff.
Yeah, me too.
I don't know, did I ever tell you the story?
Absolutely.
So, at the beginning of Awakenings, there was this dude I played when all the cards were not on TTS yet. I'm not going to name names, but there was a guy I played, and I beat him like 20 straight times, right?
Mm-hmm.
He was one of the few people who actually played Destiny, all right?
Yeah.
There weren't a lot of choices, so he was pretty good. So I beat him like 20 straight times. Then Awakenings comes out, and I'm just playing fun, crazy stuff. All of my decks are terrible. I'm losing lots of games, just having fun with terrible decks. Apparently, I played him a couple times, didn't remember, and he trounced me with the tier 1 deck he's working on. And it was funny. It came back to me through another person. They were like, "Yeah, this guy says you used to be good, and now you suck at Destiny." I was like, "I may suck at Destiny. I'm not saying I don't, but what I am saying is I'm playing crazy bad decks intentionally. So, wait a couple weeks until I'm playing good decks, and then we'll reevaluate if I suck at Destiny."
For sure.
So that was funny. Turns out I don't think I suck, Mike.
That's
my own personal bias is I don't think I suck at Destiny.
I wouldn't say that you suck per se.
Fair enough. Real quick highlight. Who did better at Gen Con again? I forgot.
Wait, what?
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 Huh?
What?
Yeah. Okay.
Sorry, I didn't catch that.
Yeah, I know. Cut out there. All right. So those are some of the fun decks I've been using. What's another fun deck you've been using? I thought you were about to go into another deck.
Yeah, so I updated my Palp deck.
Oh, with the Dominal.
You know what deck? What? Yeah, okay.
Nice.
I put one in Indomitable in, and that
Only
card is
one?
sweet. But you know what card is sweeter?
What's sweeter?
Is Endurance.
Yeah, Endurance is
Oh,
sick.
man.
Oh, my God.
It's so good.
We should probably say what Endurance does. I don't remember the exact text.
Yeah, so it is a one-cost gray neutral event, and it says play only if one or more of your dice were removed during an opponent's last turn this round. And then you get to reroll one of those removed dice back into your pool.
Yeah. This is such a funny card because I think in a lot of decks this is a total garbage play. So they pay 1 and a card to remove a die showing your best side. You pay 1 and a card to get a random side back. That does not sound good on, say, Kanan. But on somebody like Palpatine, where you're automatically getting 2 damage, that the one thing that beats Palpatine is lots of removal, and this just basically says, yeah, sorry, that's not going to work.
Yeah, like almost any Palpatine die side is worth, 1 resource, especially if it costs your opponent, a resource and a card as well. Yep. And on top of it, like there were multiple times where it was like, okay, I'll Guardian your 3, and then it's like, okay, I'll roll back in my die, and then it's just like, they're taking extra damage because Guardian actually removes the die, it doesn't just like resolve it against them or whatever. Yep. So there's a lot of cool stuff with that card.
Yeah, that's really cool. What else do you have in there? Do you have Plastoid Armor by any chance, just to give him the 1 more health?
I don't. I thought about putting Partnership in.
Partnership.
Because so it's activate one of your characters and in one of your sports.
What support's in there?
Right, but I have Swiftness, so you can pay 1 for Swiftness and then Partnership and then resolve your dice. But I couldn't find a ton of room for it, and I don't know.
Doesn't it say activate one of your supports and activate one of your characters and one of your supports? Don't you have to do both to be able to do it?
I don't think you have to do both
because
on that part, but yeah, the part with the then you have to do if you fulfill the top part.
Oh, then you do have to do both to actually get to spend one resource.
Right.
And so what supports were you looking at putting in?
Oh, none.
Then it wouldn't work, right?
Well, no, because you play Swiftness to give partnership ambush,
Sure.
and then it's just ambush activate one of your characters.
What? Okay. I guess
I
that's
mean,
true.
they say
I guess
run.
that's true, Mike. That does work. Oh,
But
interesting.
it didn't make it in. It didn't make it in.
Okay. I like that, though. I like where your head's at. You're thinking about some more unusual things.
So that one was an idea that was from John that I haven't tried yet. But the other one that I did put in, I have two new new upgrades in there. Dark Council, which is from the 2-player deck, which I actually love that card.
What does that do again?
So it's a 1-cost upgrade. It's got 2 focuses, a resource, and a special. And the special lets you draw a card and then reroll that die.
Mm.
And then the second upgrade that I have in is another 1-coster. It's Temptation from Empire at War. And the special on it it says choose an opponent. Either they draw 2 cards, and if they do, you gain 2 resources, or they can choose not to draw cards, but you draw 2 cards.
Yeah. I like this card a lot in a lot of decks.
No Mercy really likes extra cards in your hand.
Jesus. Or the extra money to play the No Mercy.
Yep, the extra money to play the No Mercy or the Rise Again.
Yeah.
So I really enjoyed that card as well.
That's interesting because I was thinking that this card was best for decks that go long, so that you wait and then if they draw once they claim and you trigger that special, sure you're drawing 2 cards. It really is irrelevant at this point. You were going to draw those anyway. It gives you a little bit of knowledge. You can thin your deck a little bit better. But yeah, that's really interesting.
It worked out really well a couple times.
I see that.
Yeah.
All right, cool. There's another card I was thinking that is at least reasonable in here. It's the one where it does 1 damage to everybody, maybe who has damage on them.
Oh yeah.
Here we go. No survivors. 1 damage to each of an opponent's damaged characters. So the reason that sounds reasonable is because you're just kind of adding to that overwhelming, like uncontrollable damage that's happening. You don't get to like do piles to 1 directly, but it's just more damage that's accruing that they can't handle.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, when you're playing Palp, like you know that they're spreading out their damage. Right. So a lot of the time, this is just 1 resource for 3 damage.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like that's a meta call. If we see a lot of 3-character decks, I mean, you tell me, here's a card that's 1 for 3, I'm probably playing it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think Palp is interesting. He's in a weird spot, though, because the new Kylo just wrecks that Palpatine.
Oh, yeah. The new Kylo wrecks him, and if Unkar Thrawn plays Crime Lord, that also wrecks him, so...
Yes, that's true. That is a good point. I think even anyway, it feels like, well, maybe not Unkar Thrawn, but some of the more three-character mill decks with buyout, I think that probably beats him also.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, even in SOR, I don't think I've lost a single game to Palp with my mill deck.
Yeah, I think Ren would be pretty bad against him as well, since you're often looking to holocron up.
Yeah.
But I guess the bottom line is I don't think Palp is tier 1, but Palp got some cool new tools, so that's always nice.
Yep, I agree.
All right, I played a little bit with Phasma Cad Bane, new Phasma that is.
Ooh.
And that deck seems like it would be so good. But Cad Bane's 3 for 1 is brutal. Because, you know how Destiny works. You get 2 resources. You have 1,000,000 cards in the deck with Ambush that costs 2. You play that on Cad Bane. You get to roll out and resolve. The problem is you hit the 3 for 1 and then you cry like a little baby. It's freaking annoying.
Yeah.
So I think, though, if you build around the 3 for 1, then it works better. So, like, you could do stuff like Truce, which has Ambush, lets you get $1 and give your opponent $1. Personally, I hate giving my opponent dollars in this game. That always bothers me.
Yeah.
And then there's that card that lets you resolve stuff with a pay side for free. I'm struggling to find this card. Do you happen to remember what it's called?
So there's the one from Spirit of Rebellion, which I don't think works because that only works on red dice. But there is Imperial HQ.
Yes, Imperial HQ.
Yeah.
There we go.
So I was thinking that actually might be a pretty
Yeah.
good idea.
So it says cost 1 before you resolve a die, showing a resource cost. You may exhaust the support to decrease that resource by 1. So the reason I don't like it and truce is because if you're gonna say the 3 for one side makes CAD unplayable, let's just say you're taking that line, then you have to find Imperial HQ early because they're gonna probably kill Cad Bane right away as soon as they see you doing tricks with him, and you'd have to find truce early. And since you have 4 cards, that makes it reasonable, I think. With just one or the other, I don't think it's reasonable. The other problem with Imperial HQ is that the whole problem was you couldn't put a 2-drop and resolve. You haven't solved that by spending 1 to play Imperial HQ. Now you only have 1, you can't play the 2-drop. You have to roll Phasma first, hope she hits her dollar. So, I don't know, Mike. I think it's a possibility that Cad Bane and Phasma is great. My gut tells me though that just playing like New Vader Phasma is like the same thing, only more efficient and better.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know what the answer is.
I don't know about that either. I've been just playing straight up like starter set, new Kylo, new Phasma together, and it's been pretty strong as is.
Yeah, I could see that. I think that new Kylo is really interesting, depending on the meta. If you're running into mono decks, or even multiple color decks that are mainly one color, it's pretty darn good. Someone in that sealed... No, I guess it couldn't have been in the sealed event. No, it was in my a game that I played online with my triple mono blue deck. They had new Kylo, new Phasma, and I was like, huh, that's not great. And Kylo died the 3rd turn, but he died the end of the 2nd turn, but did 6 damage with his ability off of a feint.
Jeez.
So he did 6 damage in 2 turns with Kylo's ability, just because my deck's blue. I was like, that's bad. Like, that's really bad for me.
Yeah.
So that was annoying. He's definitely good.
Yeah.
Have you played the vehicle deck at all? That's one of the decks that I know is going to be awesome. I said it was going to be awesome. I built a version of it before the set even came out. And now that the set is out, it's just on that list of I know this is tier 1 for now anyway. I'm playing other decks, and then I'll come back around to it when the erratas are finally done. Because I'm worried, Mike, that if Poe Maz is going to get hit, a really great place to hit it is Maz. Because Maz is... I think she's completely broken. The only problem is if you errata Maz, what does Hero have left? And maybe the answer is nothing, so you can't touch her. So I don't know which way they're going. If they're not going to hit her, oh my goodness, is there a good Hera Maz deck? If they do hit her, then I'm a little less overwhelmed with how good Hera is, having to have C-3PO to hit that special.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm kind of holding off spending a lot of time on that deck. Have you tried it yet?
I haven't played it, but I've played against it a couple times, and it felt strong. I don't think I lost to it, but like it can do some really scary things.
Yeah, it'll definitely be a deck I hit in the next, probably in the next 5 decks I make. That'll be one of them. I'll have like 3 janky decks and 2 good ones, and I think that'll be one of the good ones.
Yeah, it's for whatever reason, it's not really a deck that I'm like excited to make. I just for whatever reason, like it just doesn't appeal to me quite as much as some of the other deck ideas that I've come up with.
And I agree, which is really weird to me. It feels like I would love this deck.
Yeah,
like, it just feels really fun. And then for some reason, I'm like, I don't know. I'll build it next time. Mm-hmm. I think it's because I already identified it and I've already thought about it so much that I feel like I've played it a lot. And I don't need to play it right now, so I don't know. Which is crazy. I've literally never played the deck, and I feel like I've played it too much. That may be the sign of mental illness, Mike.
I mean, like in your head, like you know how your games are going to play out, kind of. So it's like, I don't know. Like it's more fun right now to just try new things.
Yeah, which is really funny. I mean, really, I am like the dude who only plays tier 1 things, except I give myself a 2-week window. And it's how I am in all games. Like when something's new or I'm bad at it, I allow myself losses, and then once it's like we get to this threshold, I'm like, that's it. There's no more losses unless it's against a good player and a good deck, and I'm learning something. then it's acceptable. But after that, I just want tier 1 and win all day.
Mm-hmm.
I did build a Elite Bala 9's Phasma deck, which is great. I mean, it's not as good as Rainbow 9's because it doesn't have Boundless, but I really just don't think... I think something is going to happen where you don't have endless 9's triggers. I don't know what that's going to be. Is it limit once per turn on 9's? Is it an errata to Boundless? I hope not. But I get this sense that deck is dead. It was way too overpowered, and so I've been trying other 9's decks, and not shockingly, they're very good.
Yep. Yeah, I play. That was the deck that you played against my mill deck with, and it did feel really strong.
Yeah, I made a critical error there. I didn't build it to be a tier 1 deck, so I didn't put Friends in Low Places in there. It was like, there's one card that beats this deck, and it's called Buyout, and I have a direct counter to it. I'm like, I don't need that. What are the odds that mill decks will play that? I did throw that together right in front of you, though, if you don't recall. I was just like,
I vaguely remember that. Yep.
This will be fine. Let's just roll with it. Oh, I don't own any LL30 blaster pistols. Screw it. I'll just throw a random card in that slot.
It's fine. There may have been a couple of my cards in that deck. Who knows?
That was hilarious. I don't have a best defense with me somehow. I don't know. Just throw that in. Yeah, but I think 9's is still awesome. Even however they errata him, I will be surprised if he's dead unless they really kill him.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I feel like with some small tweaks, he's fine.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, let's talk about, are there a couple cards that either were overrated in your opinion after playing for a week, or were underrated and now you're a lot more excited about that you didn't realize you were going to be excited about?
So far, I haven't really seen too many people playing the card Hate, which I think is a card that that I thought would make a bigger impact. Maybe that's just not the kind of card that makes a big impact right off the bat, but the couple times that I've seen it played, didn't feel like that powerful.
Yeah, and that makes sense. If the game's only going 3 turns, and you're either getting bought out, or you're getting killed by vehicle madness, or you're getting killed by just straight aggro from Vader Phasma, let's say you get this turn 2 and it does 2 damage, and it damages you for 2.
Mm-hmm.
Suddenly, if you think about it that way, you're like, yeah, that card's kind of unplayable garbage, which is funny because I had the same thought of you, and to me, I'm going to throw Deadly in there as well.
Yeah.
That combination seems really overwhelming, but there just might not be enough of this, I'll just call it like, this just damage you can throw on guys without rolling. Or without having to hit your side that matters. There might just not be enough yet.
Yeah.
Or if the game gets slow and control decks become the thing, then these decks might really pop up.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's also one of those things where it's, those aren't really necessarily like the new sexy cards in the set. So people aren't maybe gravitated to those quite as much as some of the other new, like flashy stuff.
Yep. I can agree with that. There's a battlefield that looks really interesting to me now. I'm trying to find it. It's the one... Here it is. The main plaza. Claim. Move a damage from a character to this battlefield, or move all damage from this battlefield to a character. That battlefield is so interesting. Somebody played it in the sealed event, which was hysterical because everyone's playing these slow, inefficient decks, so it's a total crapshoot. I end up winning the roll. I pick his battlefield, and it was really interesting. Like 2 different times, he moved damage from his character to it, and I was like, dang, that's really good. But then I got to be the one to claim it. His Ezra's at 5. I claim it, boom, kills his Ezra, and it's like, oh, dude, that didn't work out too good there.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. Is there a deck that's fast enough that can use this effectively? Because you get to heal and damage with it if you're the fast deck. That's incredibly strong.
It might be kind of a sweet battlefield for Palpatine.
So I was kind of wondering. The problem with that deck is, or with that battlefield for Palpatine, is when he gets close, being able to live like that one more turn to rise again, and if this has 4 on it, just Palpatine's dead.
Yeah.
That's kind of scary. Like, and that's what scares me about with every deck in the world. It's like once it has 4 on it, oh my god! Like whoever claims just like I don't know, just like I'm not even gonna roll. I'm just gonna claim that. Screw it. There's 4. You're like, oh, now I'm at 1. Oh no, I don't know.
I,
That this battlefield, it just feels like in the right deck, it could be just so OP. It's crazy.
yeah, it's a scary battlefield to play with, but it creates like so many interesting decisions, and I think that this will have a place somewhere.
You know what would be really interesting is to play this in like a mill deck where you're not going to do damage,
Yeah.
and then it's like, okay, all right, you claim the battlefield. Do you want to help one of my guys out, put a damage on there? I don't know. I don't think this is viable, but I don't know, it's just such an interesting battlefield I want to talk about. I still don't know what to do with it yet. It's one of those things where I feel like we really have to figure out what the tier 1 decks look like. You have to figure out the speed of the meta and if your decks are so much faster that you can afford to run this. But then even if they are, if the games are only going 3 turns anyway, it might not be worth it. But if they're going 5 turns and you're the faster deck, then this becomes really good.
Yeah. And then you have to make decisions like when do I, put my damage onto the battlefield versus when do I put damage from the battlefield onto the character? Like,
Yes.
is it worth the risk of taking another health off my character so it can go on the battlefield and then potentially like get put right back onto the character?
Yeah.
It's really interesting.
Yeah, I really like the dynamic of that card. I don't know if it's going to be good, but I really want to give it a serious look in some decks. Any other cards you thought were underrated, overrated?
Um, hmm. I I don't know. I haven't seen too many, sort of things that I didn't expect. Okay, one card that has actually been pretty awesome is Houndstooth.
Yeah.
Specifically in Unkar whatever.
Yep.
2 out of the 6 sides can be used just straight up with Unkar's ability, and one of those 2 sides is also just dug in.
Yeah. I feel like this one flew way under the radar. I made my list of top cards or whatever, and this was in it. And then at the last second, I had recorded it, and I had such a rambling mess of an explanation of Houndstooth. It was like, I think it's going to be good, but my explanation is such a mess. Maybe I'm wrong. I ended up cutting it. But then I had left the image because I couldn't cut the image. It's like it was part of my farewell. So it was like I talk about these 10 cards or whatever, and then there's just Houndstooth with me talking to people like, do you think Houndstooth is good? And I was like, yeah, maybe I'm an idiot, but I think it's going to be really good. So it's kind of funny. But
Yeah.
I couldn't completely roll the dice on it because I couldn't come up with a really sensible reason for why it was going to be really good.
Mm-hmm.
I think a card that I thought was going to have a bigger impact is Seventh Sister. And
Yeah.
I'm not sure if it's that we haven't found the right partner for her yet. I'm not sure if it's because for some reason I had in my mind that Seeker Droid was a support. And so I feel like it's a lot better if Seeker Droid is a support. But just like, so think about it this way, like you can have her die and a terrible die for 2, or just FN and his bonkers ability for 1 less than Seventh Sister. Like, I think I still want. I think I'll take 1 less die for an amazing ability. I think that's kind of what it keeps coming down to for me.
For me, the way that I view her is like, I don't know if I'd play her as regular. I think I would play her as elite, and just she is just a decent 14-point character with like pretty okay dice with the benefit of like an extra die on top.
Sure.
That's just kind of the icing on the cake. But I don't I don't know what deck she really wants to be in yet. But I also haven't tried her because I only have 1. So
I have 0, but I think for me the big problem is 14 is a bad number in this game. 14 means you can't be with any of the really strong 17 guys. There's like no really good 16s. There's no really amazing 15s. So it's like, what does 14 get you?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Yeah, I feel like that 14, 15, 16 range is a little bit awkward right now.
Yeah, what are you gonna like? Quinlan, Elite Quinlan Voss, Elite Seven Sister. Good luck.
I
If
mean,
you like
like
losing, then that's the deck for you.
you can do stuff like pair her with like two 8 cost characters.
Yeah,
Um,
and then just
but
have five terrible dice.
the
Maybe.
Servant of the Dark Side guy doesn't really have that bad of a die, but he only has 7 health.
Yeah, that makes him unplayable. I think you can't do 8.7 health. We already found that doesn't work.
Yeah, well,
That's called the Padawan, and the Padawan's better than her. And she
Night
doesn't
Sister
work.
though.
Night Sister's different though. Night Sister is like 7 removal cards,
Fair, fair.
and plus you're playing her in a deck where they don't want to kill her.
Right.
And if they do, then that means nines goes crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. Cards that I have been impressed by or unimpressed by. I had one, and then I was so bowled over by what you said, I lost my train of thought. Unfortunately, I do not think I'm going to be able to come up with it. I'm just going to go back to it. I
Sure.
thought lightsaber pull was going to be great. I know a lot of people disagreed with me on that one. I think it's amazing. I think, especially with Ancient Lightsaber and that card's sides and ability, I think it makes lightsaber pull even better.
Yeah, I'm not sure what could possibly be, said bad about lightsaber pull. Like, it draws you a card, it thins your deck, you get to tutor exactly what you want. Like in
Yeah.
any game, going into your deck and finding the card that you want is good, and this is free.
I think the downside of it has been, okay, what are you getting? Like, Kylo's saber is kind of unplayable. Luke's lightsaber is not great. Regular lightsaber is okay. Like, even if it's just regular lightsaber, that might be reasonable. Like, you go get a redeploy the turn your guy is going to die and play it. Maybe that alone is good. And then if you put it with Rey's lightsaber, Ancient lightsaber, Shoto lightsaber, I think it's amazing.
Yeah, I think there's so many good targets for it right now, it's just good. Like,
Yeah. I think the downside is, and this is a real downside, what deck actually wants to run lightsabers other than terrible mono blue hero decks?
that's true.
That's,
Yeah. I mean,
Now
and
we
in
get
that
the
case,
downside.
it's not, lightsaber pull that's bad. It's that,
right.
blue
Has no
weapon
place.
decks are bad.
Yep. All right. Well, I think that is about to wrap it up here. Real quick, I want to thank Terrence, Cody, Steve, Eric for being on the Jedi Council and being so darn generous with your donations over at Patreon, Tiny Grimes. Also this week, Tim joined the crew, so thanks so much again. Very, very much appreciated. Let's see. Anything else we want to say on the way out here, Mike? Let's give one more card to look out for.
Sure. I'm gonna say it's Ahsoka Tano.
Yeah, there's some stuff.
I think she's good.
Cards like Fearless and these cards that don't have dice associated with them, there could be some real plays to be had there. Yeah, so I'm kind of excited for those possibilities. For me, I got to use it once, so I'll say maybe Master of the Council is going to be viable. I think that's like a one of in a mono blue or close to mono blue deck with two. You want probably 2 blue heroes. This won me a game in the sealed event. And man, when it works, it's just insane, Mike. Like, when I dropped it in the sealed event, the guy was like, well, that's game. Like, obviously you're going to be able to do enough damage with that to come through, because you just get to overwrite. It cost me 1.
Yeah.
My dude had 2 upgrades plus this on him, and then $2 to reset it. It was kind of crazy.
Seems pretty good.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's going to wrap it up. Thanks so much for coming by, Mike. Thanks everyone out there for listening. Sorry we missed last week, but we'll be back next week with some more Star Wars Destiny. And until then, keep smuggling. Keep smuggling.
I like it.